What's up, guys? This is Chris Burgoon, and I'm on the Youngest in the Yacht Club.
They want the money and fame. We go to the city and we don't be tucking our chain. Woke up in paradise and we live in the drain.
Youngest in the Yacht Club. I am Vince Serrano. Man, we got a special guest today. He's an influencer. He's a boxer. He's an entrepreneur, and now he's a social media mogul. We got Chris Burgoon, man. What's up, man?
What's up, my man?
Yeah,
Thank you for having me, dude. I'm excited.
Yeah, man. Great to be on the show.
Just a note to the people watching this. This is my first podcast, so maybe a little bit rough, but I like to talk, so this is good.
Bro, it's going to be super easy. It's just like us vibing on the couch, bro. Like literally.
It's just, shooting the shit with your boys. So.
For sure, for sure. Chris, on Youngest in the Yacht Club, we love to start with the one big question.
Yep.
Who is Chris Burgoon?
Well, I think that changes week to week. This kind of in this social media influencer fighter game, things change on a day-to-day basis. So I would say I'm somebody who I love working with social media on the business side. I guess you could call me like a micro influencer. I don't have a huge following, but I was lucky enough to be kind of put in this influencer social media fight league in the fight scene. So I guess I kind of am in that realm, but also an entrepreneur, just somebody who, likes to network, work with brands, work with businesses. I've always wanted to create my own path. So I always am trying things and trying to build businesses and working with other creators and influencers. So, and I just fought 3 weeks ago in Nashville. Hope to be back in the ring soon. That was my second fight. So yeah, man. That's me.
Just knocking shit out.
Yeah. Trying to get a knockout. It hasn't happened yet. I've promised all my supporters and all my friends a knockout the last 2 fights. So I think I owe them one coming up soon.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I've seen you definitely in the ring. That's where I first saw you. That's where I first saw at Nashville at CFL 1. Definitely in shape, my guy.
Yeah. Well, I the thing about boxing, man, is I just love the lifestyle. I'm 28 years old now, and I've kind of gotten the party lifestyle out of the way, at a young age. And I love being around people in the boxing scene. I love pushing myself and competing. And this because you're going through it. Vince is getting ready for his fight this Friday. By the time this comes out, he'll had already fought, but you really have to dedicate yourself. It's a different level of training, like for instance, in this last camp, for at least a month, I was training 3 times a day, pretty much 6 days a week. And it's not only a physical stress, it's a mental stress too, because you're going in there to fight somebody. It's very different. A lot of people, when you talk about the boxing, they're like, oh wow, they look at you a little bit different. But just the fact that I'm able to go in there and compete and train and live the lifestyle and be healthy and have a healthy mind, body, and soul. That's what I love about it.
That's amazing, man. Yeah, I know every time I tell somebody I'm boxing, they look at me weird. And then they ask my wife, how do you feel about this? I had to start telling her because at the beginning, she had never seen me throw hands.
Yep.
And she just saw me in my first spar because she was actually recording it.
Okay.
And, we had no idea. And afterwards, she felt better for sure. But at the beginning, like you could hear her say, like, "Oh my God, they chose this life."
Well, you know what? Our loved ones are always going to be like, "What are you doing? Like, what do you, why are you getting in there?" But you and I understand that it's about battling yourself and just trying to put in the best effort to be successful. And also that I'm kind of an adrenaline junkie, so I like to tell people there's nothing better than the feeling when you're in the corner and the first bell goes, the ref stands out of the way, and it's just you and another guy in a ring. I mean, even just saying that, like I'm getting goosebumps on my arms. Like
I'm about to go in there. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, but it is the best feeling, and it's also a great feeling that that you're kind of in the 1%, because not a lot of people would risk your health and your life essentially to fight somebody. But there's also a lot of people that say that they want to fight or say that they want to box, and then when it comes down to it, they're not getting in the ring. So it's definitely crazy, but I love the sport for all the goods and bad.
Man, it's dope, man. Let's talk about your life, man. Like, how did you come up? Like, how did you grow up, bro?
Yeah, so I grew up in a great family. I grew up in Alabama. I was actually born here in Florida in Melbourne, but I call home Huntsville, Alabama.
Awesome.
You know, I was born or raised there my whole life. My dad and stepmom still live there. I have a great family support. I was an athlete growing up. I played, you know, golf, lacrosse, basketball, football, you know, you name it.
That's awesome.
I think that competitive nature was always there. I went to the University of Alabama, and that's kind of where I fell in love with boxing because for those of you who don't know, Deontay Wilder, the former heavyweight champion, he's from Tuscaloosa, lives there. His boxing gym's there. And I saw him fight in, I want to say 2015, 2016. And I was hooked.
Yeah.
Like, well, me and my boys were at the gym like the next week, just like training, hitting the bag, like getting a sweat. Because at that point too, you know, we're drinking a lot. We're out of shape. You know, we're like,
college
all right,
kids.
we need some way to get in shape. And I just fell in love with the sport, man. I think, you know, it's just different. There's storytelling. There's people from all sorts of walks of life, and just again like the lifestyle. So I fell in love with that. I moved to Nashville after school, had a job that I hated, and I was kind of going through, you know, just life in general. You know, we all go through things, and just battling, you know, going out and partying and just not focused on what I really truly want to do. And that's kind of when the boxing stepped into my life truly, because I started competing in amateurs.
Wow.
I had a few amateur fights in 2019, trained for probably a good 6 months. Trained with some really good guys in Cleveland, some Golden Glove winners, and that was kind of, you know, made me be a better version of myself. I lost a lot of weight, got in shape, won all my fights, had good performances, and then kind of life just, you know, took reins. You know, I moved out to California for work and have kind of been all over the place. So I stopped boxing.
Wow.
But, you know, I kind of got into this media world. I was on a reality TV show. I did a documentary. So that's kind of, you know, kind of puts me in this social media influencer realm. Again, like I don't like calling myself an influencer. I guess at a micro level, yeah, but
everybody says that though. Like being, you know, influence is very powerful.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
Like having real influence means you have trust and credibility, man.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I read this book called the Above the Line, leadership things. And when I hear influencers say, and it's nothing to you, but when I hear influencers say, I don't want to be called an influencer, it's because there's a negative connotation to what's going on, right? But realistically, having influence is trust and credibility with the people, and influence is leadership, nothing more, nothing less. So really what you're saying is you're a leader.
Yep.
And that's big. Like I didn't mean to cut you off, but
No.
I feel like we get a stigma for being influencers because of, you know, the Instagram models or you know what I'm saying, whatever that is. But dog, I look at it and it's like, yo, people follow us, dog. Like, and I'm not talking about the follower count. I'm talking about what you do. People look at, they see it, and I see it, man. I mean, sponsors see it, you see it, even with the movement. So I do want to say that you are an influencer.
Yeah.
My second question is, what show were you on?
I was on Heartbreak Island, season 3. Don't go watch it. No,
y'all better go
don't
watch
watch
that.
it. No, you know, it was a big show in New Zealand and Australia, and this was the first year they brought cast from the U.S. as well.
Awesome.
It was a great experience. You know, 5 weeks on a private island in Fiji was pretty cool.
That's fire.
Yeah, you don't have access to your phone, so you're like disconnected from the world.
Wow.
While you do have like cameras in your face 24/7, it's a different type of feeling being disconnected from the outside world. It kind of puts life in perspective a little bit. I know it's weird to say that while you're on a reality show set, but
Legit,
it truly is.
You can't reach out to nobody. You have to literally be on your own.
Yeah. So you know, I'm a person who I love trying things. Like I will always throw myself in the deep end, try things, take opportunities when they're presented.
Yeah.
I love that. Like that's what gets me going. And so I got this opportunity and I was like, you know what? Yes, I'm going to do it. And I consulted with my family because that was the most important thing. Like I want to make sure, like, obviously I'm going to be myself on the show, but I want to make sure that, you know, they respect my decision of going on, and I like taking their input. But I'll never forget, I called my stepdad and we were talking about it, and I was telling him, oh, I'm going to be on a private island in Fiji for 5 weeks. I could win $100,000. I get paid to be there. And he says, I don't hear anything wrong with that. And so when he said that, I was like, okay, fine, I'll do it. I probably wouldn't do it again just because, again, any reality show is cheesy, but again, the experience was awesome. I got to meet a lot of good people, a lot of good connections, and that's just big for me. I mean, the networking in that kind of realm is so important. So just to have, people that you meet, if I have projects down the line, I can connect with. And
that's awesome.
But yeah, Heartbreak Island.
How did that opportunity, like, everybody asked me, because I was on VH1, My True Crime Story.
Yeah.
Me, how the hell did you get on there? How did you get on Heartbreak Island?
So I did this. It's so funny because I went from like this Christian documentary to like a reality TV show, which is like complete opposite sides of the spectrum.
Yeah.
But so I actually, one of the producers connected me with a producer that worked on this show, and the production company also does Survivor, so they were going to film Survivor right after.
Wow.
And so they because the running joke on the documentary was like, you would be perfect for reality TV, and like I've had some buddies that have wanted me to get on The Bachelorette as well, and I actually was like 75% of the way through the application process in The Bachelorette.
Wow.
That's it, like during the process, and I'd gotten the okay, like the go on Heartbreak Island, and The Bachelorette was about to fly me out to LA. So I was like, that's a little bit safer in terms of like, I would feel more comfortable doing that, and that could gain a big audience. Cause I also, like, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, I looked at it as a business perspective as well. Like, you have to, because nowadays, if you get popular on a show like that, that can really help you from a business perspective, financially.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, these brand deals out there are ridiculous. I mean, I'm even just working on, working with a couple guys who have big followings and just working on brand deals now. And it's like, there's a lot of money to be had. And obviously at the end of the day, this is what we're in it for. We like to be creative and do cool stuff, but you got to make money. So,
yeah.
But I went with the show. And yeah, like I said, I wouldn't not do it again, or I probably wouldn't do it again, but I don't regret doing it.
That's
like
fine.
It was a good opportunity.
So, and I'm not gonna harp too much, but I got one more question.
Yeah. No, I asked you. This is why I'm here.
So obviously, you filmed a Christian documentary.
Yep.
Then went to Heartbreak Island.
Yep.
You were in good shape at that time.
Yeah.
So you're on Fiji.
Yep.
Which is like an island.
Yep.
And then Heartbreak Island seems like you're being set up with people like to date. What was that like?
So it's a weird concept. I'll try to explain it. So you start out and you meet a group of girls. So there ended up being like 20 girls and 20 guys. Some people come in kind of like Love Island.
Right.
But you meet the girls initially at like a pool party, and then you rate the girls, which is, people probably don't like, but they made us do it. And so you pick your top 3, and so do the girls. And you try to match. Then there's like a matching ceremony. So you're picked with a girl and guy. And so, but the funny part is when you're doing that, you kind of learn who got picked last, like who was the least favorite, which is so bad. But I was lucky enough that I was in a good spot for that.
So you ranked high.
Yeah.
You're like in the boxing rankings.
I was like, thank God. Because that would be embarrassing. Like, I've got all my boys back at home.
Yeah.
Like, they're like, oh, he got picked last.
Yo.
But, and then you compete in challenges every week. So it's like physical, mental challenges. And then there's like a chopping block. So if you're last on the chopping block, your opponent, you spin a dial, and if it's girls, then the girls go first, and they can switch your partner out if they're in last place and to save somebody else.
Wow.
So there's a lot of drama in it. It's actually a really good like idea, and it's done well in Australia and New Zealand. It's just, I guess it's just hard in there's so much space, already taken in the reality, realm, like Love Island, Too Hot to Handle, Bachelor, Bachelorette. So it didn't really pop off in the States like I thought it would, but I was on a billboard in Auckland, New Zealand, which was really cool. I mean, somebody sent me a picture of that, and I was like, "Oh my God!" Like, I did not expect that.
Mom made it.
Yeah, it was definitely cool. Like I said, man, I like taking cool, interesting opportunities, and I've always kind of gone against the grain. Like growing up in the South, you're raised to almost be a certain person, go a certain path, and I've always kind of wanted to go against the grain and do something different. I've always had a creative side. I've always wanted to be in front of the camera or just be involved with, influencers or creators and athletes as well. So
For sure.
yeah, so that's just been, that was one of the checklist on my bucket list.
How'd you finish on the show?
So it was weird. It was like a sneak elimination. So we actually had a tie between my couple and another couple. It was top 6. So, but there was like I said, I think like 18 guys and like 18 girls. So pretty good. Like I was there for, almost 5 weeks. So
wow, awesome. So every week somebody's getting.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, kind of. The schedules are so weird. Like, you think that you're like hanging out the whole time, but you're actually on a pretty tight schedule. Like you're doing a lot of stuff like this, like 3-4 hour interviews in front of a camera, just somebody asking you questions, which is dangerous because they can clip something you said like at the beginning for a scene at the end.
Yeah.
So
I learned about clipping.
Yeah. So it gets dangerous in that sense because they can like make you look a certain way, but that's what you're signing up for. Like I knew that, there are probably going to be parts, but I feel like I got portrayed pretty much, like my personality and well throughout the show. I mean, there were a couple instances, but like, it was, like I said, top 6. I wasn't too mad about it, but it would have been nice to get the 100,000.
Yeah. It's pretty dope, man. I felt the same way, man, when you talk about going on TV because, I didn't know if they were going to make, when you're putting yourself out there, which is a big risk. Like
it's hard. No, a majority of people won't do that. Like it is kind of nerve wracking, you know, when you're in front of those cameras.
I looked at it and my wife could tell you, growing up, I didn't know if they were going to make me look like Tony or Tommy from Power. Like, and they did a mixture of both, which was good. Like, and it you think about it and you're like, yo, people are going to see it. And then when people do see it, what were the reactions of people seeing it?
I mean, I feel like I have a pretty good support system within my inner circle. Like, I definitely got some crazy DMs from like people like, oh, you're self-centered. Like, oh, like you shouldn't have dumped her. Like, but of course, like you're going to get that, and what I like to say is like, as long as you're staying true to yourself and pursuing what you want to do and what makes you happy and working hard and trying to like level up yourself and the people around you, like you're no matter what industry you are, if you're in corporate America, if you're like in the creative industry, no matter what you're doing, you're going to get criticism at any level. For sure. And that can only be a good thing. Like negative publicity is positive publicity if you're being yourself and doing the right things. Some negative publicity, like the whole Ryan Garcia like that's too far. But But yeah, I mean, it's you're always going to get something, but I think I got a pretty good positive reaction from it. Again, like I'm somebody that, for a long time in my life, I cared about what people said in the comments and likes. And I take everything with a grain of salt, and I love criticism from people that I trust and the people around me. But like, if somebody has something bad to say about me, I don't really care. Like, it doesn't faze me at this point. It's like, you have to learn to get past that to really be successful, especially, doing this whole boxing thing and, working with influencers and even doing some brand stuff myself. It's like, you're going to have people saying stuff, but like, I don't really care.
That's awesome, man. We're actually going to segue to that when we come into our break. I'm going to ask you about some of the influencers. I'm going to ask you about Cav Social and your entrepreneur stuff. Working with other influencers and helping them, and then just kind of life in general, man. So
awesome.
Appreciate it. When we come back, we're going to talk more with Chris Burgoon, man.
Awesome.
We're back with Youngest in the Yacht Club and Chris Burgoon. Bro, Chris, you got a crazy story, man. It's crazy. What's next? Like we talked about how you basically got into like the influencer stage or the creator stage, and we talked about boxing, we talked about your upbringing, but really, like, what's the move? What's the next moves for Chris, or what have you been doing and working on?
Yeah, so obviously I'm training all the time, getting ready for a possible fight in September. I want to get back in the ring as soon as possible. But one thing that I've always, like we said earlier, like I just love the whole game of boxing, the business behind boxing. I actually did an internship back in 2018 when I was in Nashville. Matt Young, who actually works for Misfits, I DM'd him one day. He still owns TriStar Boxing, and I was like, hey man, like I would love to intern for you, just kind of like learn the business. And so I actually shadowed him and helped him put on 2 shows. So I've always been interested in the business side of boxing and just from an athlete influencer perspective anyway. So You know, always training, but I've also seen the power with brands and influencer athletes, influencer creators. We're living in a time where there's a lot of money that's being put out to influence for, you know, social posts, sponsorships, interview podcast sponsorships. It's a big market. And, you know, I actually, for my last fight in Nashville, was able to accumulate 10 sponsors that wanted to support me and pay me money so I can focus on my training, and also just building those relationships, because you never know, you know, how it's going to help you or how you can help them in the long run. And so I've been, you know, concepting a talent management company for a long time. And, you know, I've just built some relationships in this influencer boxing scene. So, you know, Cav Social, my company, actually launched probably 2 weeks ago from today. And we signed 2 or 3 athlete influencer boxers, sketch comedians as well, big followings, big engagements, all 3 different kind of styles. So yeah, I'm excited to, you know, I think the mission of Cav Social is to just bridge the gap between athlete, influencer, and brand, and really trying to build the best relationship in terms of long-term partnerships between them, you know, because like I said, for a lot of these fights, what people don't understand is you get a percentage of ticket sales, but you're not getting a purse at a certain level. And so sponsorships are big, you know, and a lot of people have other jobs. You know, Brendan, who I now help, he has a gym in Lexington, Kentucky, and he's always training. So it's a time thing as well. And so I just love, like, you know, putting brands with good people who I trust, who I know that will help their business in terms of sales, in terms of just overall reach, putting eyes on the product. Absolutely. And, you know, what I find out in talking to a lot of these brands is when you bring up boxing, it's like they don't get that every day. They're not getting emails like, hey, what do you think about sponsoring a boxer for the main event in an Ireland influencer creator card in September? Like, they're not getting a lot of those emails. So people are interested in it, and it's a certain niche and it's a certain demographic that it reaches that I think a lot of companies like need, you know, and in terms of like the types of companies, you know, a lot of supplement companies, recover health, local businesses, you know, car dealerships, just anywhere, really the sky's the limit.
Sure.
But yeah, so Cav Social is going great. You know, I plan on, you know, signing more athletes and influencers and even going outside of the boxing realm in the future.
That's awesome.
But I also want to keep it boutique right now, because I want to make sure that, you know, I'm working for these guys, and I want to make sure I'm putting my 100% effort into getting them the deals that they need to get to, you know, so they can focus on everything else. And, you know, as long as, you know, they're happy and they're getting good deals, you know, it's a relationship. Like, I feel like they're kind of family, and that's what's important to me. You know, again, just building the relationships, having a, you know, a small net group of people who believe in the mission, are going to work hard, who are brand friendly in a sense where, you know, a lot of people want to work with them and continue to work with them and build long-term relationships. So yeah, just have that going on, and the training, and, you know, I want to do a promotion at some point. You know, I have to, like, you know, we were talking about my bucket list. That's one I need to check off.
Yeah.
I definitely want to put on a show, whether it's in the creator influencer scene or just true professional card, in the future. So, you know, I'm somebody who, I have a lot of plans, but I need to make sure I'm executing on what's in front of me right now. And so, yeah.
Man, that's a lot, man.
Yep.
I mean, it's not a lot. It's the same thing that you've been doing, but you just, like, you're applying it into the business world. You said you interned. How did that feel, interning from that? And, like, because there's a lot of people, Youngest in the Yacht Club, man, they see you on the ship, they see you on the cars, main events, they see you at every event that you're at promoting, but they don't really see what you had to do to get to that point.
Yeah.
How did you feel, like kind of like interning and kind of like waiting your turn?
Yeah. Well, it's funny because obviously the promotion's in Nashville, and, you know, I fell in love with Deontay Wilder, but then Anthony Joshua, who's promoted by Eddie Hearn, which is in my opinion, the best promoter in the game. He's essentially just a huge marketing tool for boxing, but is knowledgeable, and his family has owned Matchroom for years over in the UK. And he's always, wearing the press conference suits and stuff. So I roll up to the show and I'm in like a nice jacket, pants, nice shoes. Like I want to be, in the middle of all of it. And
You
like,
fresh, dog.
I'm the only person that's dressed up, I'm sure Matt was wearing something nice, but
Yeah.
I just, and even at the event in Tampa this past weekend that we were at, man, I love being in the position where, because I cornered Brendan and I cornered Joe, Black Italian Stallion.
Yes, sir.
So it was nice because I would sit down for a little bit, watch an incredible fight. I would go back to the locker room, make sure the boys were doing well. If they needed anything, checking up on them, talking to them. I'm talking to other fighters that I know they're getting out of the ring. I'm networking, I'm shaking hands. Like you're basically like, it's 5 hours of just moving around with sitting down every once in a while and watching a good fight.
Yeah.
And that's just fun to me. Like, that's what I've always wanted to do. And so when I was in Nashville, I did the promotion and entered, and I just got to learn about how it's run, how it's set up, kind of the timing, the numbers, how many ticket sales,
Wow.
How much are these guys making, just kind of running numbers through my head. And there's a lot of effort that goes into it because, anything can go wrong, especially from the production side, if you're streaming pay-per-view. And you also have to understand the fighters because you need to find fighters that, have personalities that can sell tickets. And, that's the biggest part about boxing. If you're a ticket seller, you can really make it. But yeah, man, I just love being around the sport. I love being around the fighters. I mean, fighters are some of the most resilient people I know.
Yeah. I was with you when you did USA Say and Brendan Kelly, like in the corner, man. You did an awesome job. Number one.
Yeah. And USA sitting in the back right now. He's watching this podcast. We're in, he just fought in the main event. He, in my opinion, got robbed. But he'll be back in the main event September 12th. Go follow him if you don't. I love working with him. I mean, he's a character. And people and brands will absolutely love him so far and will love him. And he just fights.
He goes hard.
Fights.
Bro, one of the things that, and I actually met him because I did the intro music for G Perez, who's the BKFC. He's actually the cut man for BKFC, and he also fights as the cut man. So I did the intro song for him when he fought Bryce Hall. And that was big. We drove to New Mexico.
Yeah,
and then
that is huge.
I saw Brendan fighting G in the Influencer Fight League, and it was just crazy. And then we end up getting linked up. I end up just meeting him. He's been on the Youngest in the Yacht Club. And from that point that I just met him, genuine, solid dude. Tries to be, he doesn't try to be too much, or he's not a try hard. He's himself. And he just wants to be the best version of himself. And that's the thing that Youngest in the Yacht Club is about, because people think it's about money. They think it's about like the riches, but it's really about being you the whole way to the top and the grind that it takes. And just meeting people like Brendan, we walked him out. You know what I'm saying?
It was sick.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable. I mean, talk about goosebumps on your arm. Like, I was obviously in the corner, but the production value was great, and you walked him out. You were holding the belt, and like he's in the back, and then he does the Goku thing or whatever it is, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, you know what? I was telling everybody this. I don't get nervous before my fights. Weirdly enough, like I just think that the preparation's done. You got to go in there and do your thing. And I'm super calm and collected during my fights. For sure. I was nervous as hell the whole fight night for not only Brendan, but Joe as well. And just being in the corner. I mean, I lost my voice. I'm screaming, like I'm going crazy. And it's like my heart's pumping the whole night. But when I'm actually in the ring fighting, I'm a lot calmer. So it was a weird and awesome experience for me. But
you did a great job, bro. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I'd love to have you in my corner. If we ever go to other places and coaches can't come, bro, you did an amazing job. I love, like, you were very like on point. Even when you came down, you were very clear with him and saying it was like you were meant for that. So it's definitely not an overnight thing, because I'd have known what to do. Like, I would have forgot everything.
Well, you know what, and that's just me loving the game of boxing since 2016. Like, I study it, I listen to interviews, I watch it all the time. It's just, I love it. And so being able to like see things, and it's hard, especially for when you're in there, there's so much going on and so much pressure, to be able to like see things from the corner and reiterate that to Brendan in the corner and Joe. And I was like, this is awesome. Like,
Yeah.
I was yelling at Joe. I was like, left to the head, left to the body. That's all you need to know. And then, and then just, doing the things that I would want a coach for me to do. And I think, for me, like I've bounced around a couple of gyms the last few months, and I have my main coaches in Cleveland as of now. And, I had two buddies of mine be in my corner for my fight in Nashville. And thank you guys, Ben and Weldon, for doing that. But they don't know much about boxing. So there's a lot of aspects in that fight that if maybe I had somebody else in my corner, that the outcome would have been different. I could have seen things differently. I could have done things. But yeah, I just love the game. I love the game, and being a coach, I would definitely be in your corner. I would definitely be in anybody's corner.
Yeah.
It's so hype. It's a different feeling.
Make sure you reach out to Chris Burgoon if you need somebody solid, man.
Yep.
That's the one thing that I know, man. I've seen it. Even when you were saying, look, I think he got that one. You were very clear.
Yep.
And seeing what you were seeing, and you were very clear even with USA with Brendan. So I really like that,
Yeah.
bro. I want to ask you a couple of questions, man. As far as like entrepreneurship, because you are taking on a new business, right?
Yep.
If you could give some advice to somebody in your field or in the industry that you want to get in, or even in the boxing world or in any industry, what piece of advice would you give them?
Well, I think for my last fight in Nashville, it's a good example because I don't have a huge Instagram following, but I was able to connect with brands and some big brands and able to just talk to them, connect, let them know the vision of what I'm trying to do and kind of like my values and kind of creative ways to get involved with brands. And I got a lot of support. And I think that sometimes people don't think that they should be in a room that they 100% should be.
For sure.
And that lets people take a step back and maybe not pursue, reaching out to somebody, talking to somebody. I'm all about like, I'm going to reach out to 1 million people and tell them my vision and what I'm trying to accomplish and, how I think I could add value and how they could add value to me. And you're going to get a lot of no's. You're going to get a lot of non-response. You're going to get people who just aren't interested. It doesn't fit their brand, which makes sense. In business, it has to make sense for both parties.
For sure.
But some people are going to be like, yeah, I like that. I want to hop on, especially early stages. Like for me, in my second fight, like I want to hop on with that guy because of his attitude and just his ability to reach out and not be afraid to be in rooms. Like that's what I like about boxing too is, it's all walks of life. You get every walk of life in the gym. And so the ability to just go into a room and be able to connect with anybody and not think about, should I be talking to this? Am I worthy of being in this room? No, everybody's worthy of the same thing. It's about just finding what you're passionate about, chasing that, and just going and getting it. And that's what I love about building Cav Social is I'm going to go and try to get these guys the best deals possible that makes sense for them. And I'm going to like go hard at it. I'm not going to stop for anything. Like I'm going to get these deals if if I lose my hair over it,
Don't do that. You got a nice full hair, full hair, dog.
But it's just, it's like any industry. You just grind, it's like, it's like sales too. It's, call, connect, network. So yeah, that's my biggest advice is just don't overthink. You're worthy of being in the room with, big brands, big businesses, people of stature and just having that confidence. And that's hard. It's easier said than done. Like building confidence is something that takes a lot of time. And I feel like I've always been somewhat of a confident person, but you build it in a different way. And as you grow older and become more mature and go through experiences, you find your confidence more.
Sure.
And that's important. As long as you can hone it in and don't let your ego override it. I think confidence is just the key in any business venture.
It's fire, bro. You dropped a lot of gems there, man. You dropped a lot of gems. It seems like you really focused on what you're doing too.
Yep.
Do you get that from like training and stuff like that? Do you feel like that like even you'd said earlier in the broadcast that you were part of a lot of teams, a part of a lot of sports things. Do you think that helps you in the entrepreneurial world and the endeavors that you take?
Yeah, And I think boxing and like business go hand in hand too, because you're going to get exposed for the work that you're putting in, right? So there's a lot of luck involved in success, there is, but if you're working hard and you're putting in the effort, results will show. And in boxing, results, I mean, if you do not go hard, if you do not train, it's the one sport that you are going in there and you will get exposed. And so that's what I like about social media, because, you know, I've always been big into social media. I've always posted. I love it, but it also kind of gives you an extra edge. So if I'm posting stuff about the fighters that I work with on Instagram and I'm trying to build up Cav Social, I'm showing the world that, oh, this is my business. Like, I'm taking this to the next level. So that gives me an extra edge because I'm not going to get exposed. I'm going to work hard. I'm going to make this in the best possible talent agency for athlete influencers that I possibly can.
1,000.
And yeah, it's just about, you know, putting in the work and,
yeah, it helps. It helps.
Yeah,
it translates into the next endeavor. It translates into the next business venture.
Yeah, and everything's not going to go, you know, my way, you know, in fighting, in business. But it's just, again, boxing in business. You get knocked down, or you're going to get back up and fight.
Yeah.
You know, and entrepreneurship, stepping, you know, outside of your comfort zone. That's a risk, and I understand that, but I love it, man. Like, you know, this is the industry I want to be in. I love, you know, working for these guys and just helping them, you know, level up their career, and hopefully, you know, I'm going to continue to fight and try to build my brand and continue to try to, you know, the end goal for me would be to get on a Misfits card, you know.
Yeah.
But, you know, we'll see. And so now I have kind of both things to keep me busy, and we'll see what else is up. I mean, like I said, promotion maybe down the line. And, you know, like I said, everything changes day to day. So
for sure. Bro, when we come back, I'm going to ask you kind of a couple, you know, personal questions.
Yeah.
Ask you how things are going. And then we're going to get into, you know, where people can find you and a couple of people that you have signed. I'd like to get into the reasons maybe why you signed them or how people could work with Cav Social.
Yeah,
awesome,
for sure.
Man. Y'all tune in, subscribe. And then we're going to ask Chris Burgoon more questions about how he grew up, you know, basically about, you know, some personal questions, and then a little bit more about Cav Social. So
let's do it.
Chris, let's get into this, man. Like, you're 28 years old.
28.
Went to the University of Alabama.
Yep.
Boxing. Is there a Miss Burgoon? Is there, how's that work? You know what I'm saying? Like, is it, you know, you almost went on a bachelorette. What's that like? What's the love life like, bro?
Yeah, nothing as of now.
Okay.
Tampa has some beautiful women, though.
Yeah, Florida up here.
Tampa, I might have to move down to Tampa. I mean,
hey, the Bay, you're.
But no, you know, it's hard, you know, because I'm really focusing and investing in myself right now. So I know a lot of people say that, but it is true, and so it kind of seems unfair. I mean, I'm not looking, but yeah, just single for now, just trying to enjoy my life. You know, I'm somebody who wants kids and a family at some point, but I'm trying to, you know, get stuff done until I get to that point. You know, there's a lot of stuff that I want to accomplish, and then I'll have a family and kids. But
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you have like women just throwing themselves at you? I mean, you were on Heartbreak Island, bro. It's like you got to use your paws to keep them off you. Like,
yeah, I don't know, not really. I mean, you know, I don't know what to say there. But
yeah, I mean,
I mean, like, you know, I'm somebody who I'm a relationship guy. So like, cool. I don't really, you know, go out trying to, you know, catch tail 24/7. But
right.
Yeah, you know, I'm open. I'm single. So
he's single. There you go. Bro, that's what I'm talking about. That's great ways, man. Because you know, one of the things is like people you see. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I called myself the Chico Bruce Wayne at one point. You know what I'm saying? So it's like. I'm not saying that I'm just like being like promiscuous. Now I'm married, obviously. You know what I'm saying? And I
congratulations,
love my wife.
by the way.
Thank you, bro. And Jenny is amazing.
Yeah, person. you guys are just from the time I've spent with you two. You guys are phenomenal together.
Thank you, bro. Yeah,
and you seem like a cohesive unit in a relationship, but also from a business end too, which is awesome.
Yeah, she is. It's kind of like what you're saying. Is like I didn't want to settle.
Yeah.
I had been through so many like failed relationships and relationships where I felt like I was just looking and pushing. And you know, I literally sat down and wrote down like what I needed because I went through one relationship and it was like I literally had asked for what I got, and then when I got it, I was not happy.
Manifestation.
Yeah, but I manifested the wrong thing.
Yeah. Okay.
So I was like, yo, I needed some chick that didn't need me.
Yeah.
Right, because I was traveling all the time. I want a chick that don't need me.
Yeah.
That makes her own money, and then I ended up getting a chick where she was like, yo, Vince, I don't need you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, what can you have to offer me? Like,
Yeah.
you're not even here. Like, when I need a hug, you can't even get that. And that was like a moment where I was like, yeah, because you really get what you ask for in this life. And so I wrote down like, hey, look, I need someone who it needs me, but is not needy.
Yeah.
Somebody who works out, because that's important to me, right? Somebody that really cares and is responsible. And I wrote down like these 6 things, man, these 6 stages. And yo, it's funny because Jenny actually did the same thing on her end. We didn't know it.
Yeah.
And then when we came together, bro, it was like we checked off everything on each other's lists, and we didn't settle. People used to be like, "Oh, your standards are too high, bro. Ain't nobody gonna be like that." Like, yo, you need to relax. You need to, settle for what you got. And we both didn't do it. And then when we found that person, we kind of understood, and we laughed about this. Yeah. And I, this is a little bit of relationship advice, but I definitely want to tell you, man, I feel like happy. I feel like that's probably what you're doing. You're focusing on what you're doing. You're not settling. I know a lot of people that can't be alone.
Yep.
That's like,
I love being alone. Like from a relationship standpoint, no, because it's always better to have somebody in your life. But like there are moments throughout my day that I need to be alone and focused. And maybe that's kind of why I like boxing, because it's such an individual sport. But yeah, like I mean, I'm very much an outgoing, like social person, but like as long as I get my alone time, and that's just to kind of collect your thoughts and kind of destimulate, from everything that's going on during the day. And but
that's awesome, man. Yeah. Bro, I want to ask you about Cav Social.
Yep.
Right. So you started the company. You're working with influencers and brands and kind of bridging the gap. What would somebody need to be noticed or to get signed by somebody? Or what first? Not just be noticed, but like the people that you signed. How did you notice them?
Well, so all 3 of us were on the same CFL Creator Fight League 1 card.
Oh, wow.
So, it was just kind of building the relationship from there. And, as I kind of grew and wanted to actually start a company, these guys I reached out to, Brendan, I reached out, Q, I reached out, and, just wanted to give them help because they had, were getting ready for fights, getting sponsorships, and kind of how I did it. So it was more so just kind of given the information that I had. Mm-hmm. And then it was almost like they were interested in working with me as well. And I was like, well, I wanted to start something like this anyways. Why not just go full on green light and let's just do this thing, and just building the relationships from there. And it's like, that's why it's important in any aspect of life to, give out knowledge or give out information, or just like for me, it was just helping my friends that I met through this boxing scene. And then, they're interested as well. And my whole, like I said, my mission for this is to just help them progress and grow their career and hopefully put the right brands in front of them that will, be good for them in the long term and make money and support their boxing careers. And it's easy for me when you have, the 3 guys that I've signed are just great guys. Yeah. They all have a different niche of followings. They have great engagement. People love them.
Wow.
And so when, you get people on the team like that, it kind of makes my job a little bit easier, you know, like reaching out, yes, yeah, we're interested. Like, with Brendan, people that I've reached out to have noticed him from when he was in Ninja Warrior. Like, so, it's really easy when you have, like I said, people bought into the mission. We're all on the same page. And again, when you're these guys that I've already signed, it makes easy work.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I know obviously you have a full roster right now or maybe, I know you have your current roster, but how would somebody reach out to you if, they have they're interested in getting those kind of deals, or they're interested in those things? Cav Social.
Yeah, I would say just, add us on Instagram, Cav Social. I mean, introduce yourself to me if we're ever at the same boxing event. Networking is key. And like I said, right now we're trying to keep it to the 3 for now, but you know, I have 3 months, 6 month, a year plans, and you know, we want to grow as we continue, you know, the rest of this year. And yeah, I mean, the focus now is, you know, Brendan, USA Cyan, Kelly is fighting September 12th, main event UCC card. Another guy I work for, Cake Paul, he's going to be fighting there as well. So we're really excited for them. Dublin, Ireland. They do a really good production over there. There's going to be like 800 to 1,000 people. I know that they did incredible pay-per-view numbers last time.
Awesome.
I think Keith Burke over there runs it.
Yeah,
I think
Force Inc. Dope people.
Yeah,
man.
very good people. And again, like, it's nice to be, you know, involved with them in a sense, you know, just building those relationships. Because at the end of the day, I know it's boxing, but a lot of good people
For sure.
in this industry. And so, yeah, we're just focused on that and getting them, you know, the right brand deals and sponsors for that to support, you know, their fights. And Dat Boy Q, another person that I'm signed with, or that I signed, he is fighting probably on the next Creator Fight League card.
Wow.
CFL 3, which actually is supposed to be the same day, but I think that they may move it back. I'm not sure.
Yeah. That's Anthony Taylor's promotion,
Yep,
right?
Anthony Taylor. I fought on the first and second one, so that's kind of the league that I've been competing in. And
that's awesome.
And then for me too, you know, I still, you know, work with some brands and sponsors, and you know, I most likely will be fighting on that September card as well. So looking forward to get back there. But yeah, you know, just building that family culture too. Like, these are my boys. Like, I call them every day, like, ask how they're doing. Like, you know, I want to support them as much as I can. You know, that's why I was down here in Tampa, and, you know, I'll always have their support. I'll always have their back. You know, and I just see the trajectory of this influencer boxing scene, and I can see what's possible.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's just getting these guys to peak and get to that right point and be successful in what they want to do.
It's fire, bro. It's super fire. Bro, I got to ask you a question, man. It's important, man, because you seem very knowledgeable in what you're doing.
Mm.
If you could go back in time and tell your younger self a piece of advice, what would that advice be to your younger self?
To not care what anybody thinks. You know, people say it all the time, but I think it is the truest statement any athlete, entrepreneur, anybody who's trying to achieve something great is not caring about what people think. And we've all been through it. Like, I grew up, I was the kid who I cared what everybody thought. In high school, I wanted to be the cool athlete. I wanted the girlfriend. I wanted this persona. I wanted everybody to like me. But when you get older and you go through experiences, bad experiences, you go through bad business deals, all that, it's like, you know, people are always there are bad people out there. There's also people that are going to say bad things about you, and you just have to truck along. Just keep that mindset right, you know, have the mission be the same, carry yourself with dignity, class, and just work hard. You know, it's like, yeah, and at the end of the day, people are always going to say something, and almost use that as fuel. Like, I use that as fuel now, which I would used to let it burn me out. Now I use it to fuel me up, you know? So, yeah, I think that's the biggest piece of advice, and, you know, we're all the same. So
Fire, bro. Man, you're super dope, bro. Man, where can the people find you? Like, I know they can find Cav Social, but where can people connect with you and just learn more about your story?
Yeah, so, I mean, I'm on Instagram at Chris Burgoon. I have X as well. I think all of it is at Chris Burgoon. So Instagram is kind of my main platform. And yeah, I mean, support, you know, these fighters who are fighting on these influencer cards. It's, you know, really important. I think that it's a fun wave. So it's always important to support your fighters. If you're a brand or sponsor, reach out. I can hook you up with some guys. And yeah, again, like I said, Brendan Kelly is fighting, USA Sands fighting September 12th, Dublin, Ireland. So is Cake Paul. So support them, tune in. That'll be amazing. And then look out for me and Dat Boy Q. Probably, it actually is probably going to be the same date, September 14th in Atlanta, Georgia, CFL 3. And yeah, just that's where you can find me.
That's amazing, man. Bro, final message to the viewers of Youngest in the Yacht Club?
Final message. Yeah, just be yourself. Whatever that thing inside of you is telling you to do, go do it, because that's what you're meant to do. boxing for some reason has never left my mind. Sometimes I wish it did, you know, because getting punched in the face is a different animal, but it's always been in my heart, something that I want to be involved with both sides. So follow your heart, be a good person, work hard, and just, you know, carry the people around you. The people around you, your family, are the most important things. So
Fire, man. Yo, plug yourself and your business one more time, Chris.
Cav Social, at Cav_social on Instagram, and I'm at Chris Burgoon on Instagram. So
Thanks, bro. Thanks for being on the show, bro. I appreciate you,
you're the
man. I
man.
hope you had it. Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah,
that was
for
awesome.
sure, man. I got
Seriously,
you.
thank you, and good luck to your fight.
Yes, sir.
This Friday, we're gonna be there supporting in Sarasota, Florida.
Yeah, Sarasota.
I know this won't be out, but Vince, is this your first fight?
It's my debut. Yeah.
So it's gonna be exciting. I can't wait. Like, we're gonna be there supporting you fully, and thank you, and good luck with everything you're doing. I know you're hustling, and you've got a couple businesses, and I see you doing your thing. I mean, the walkout with Brendan the other night was insane. The music, we were bumping your music on Spotify on the ride to Tampa.
Love that.
You know, I'll always support you in anything you need. So
Thank you, bro.
And I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you, bro. We're gonna chop it up. Make sure y'all go follow Youngest in the Yacht Club, like, subscribe, and comment, and then look for Chris and Cav Social, bro.
Let's go.
Peace.
You're the man. Thank you, bro.
Yes, sir.